A little back history of myself is probably a good place to start. I grew up in a small Ohio town near Cleveland. I was the only child of my parents, Robert and Stacy Williams. I was the junior Robert, but I was nothing like my father. He was 6 foot tall and very athletic, having played baseball in college until he blew out his knee. I, on the other hand, was blessed with my mother's genes. I was small and not athletic. Needless to say, I was not the apple of my father's eye. My father was a successful bankruptcy lawyer. I was good at school, but my father hardly took notice of me. With all that happens to me later in my life, my father dying of a heart attack when I was 15 was actually a blessing, as you will all find out later. My mother is a guidance counselor at the local high school in my hometown. My mother is my rock and the only friend I had growing up. As I said earlier, I was not a normal boy growing up. I did not have friends. I mostly read, which is probably why I do good in school. I went through high school pretty much non-existent. I applied at a college in Illinois and was accepted. I thought that college would be my big coming out party. I would meet lots of people and have a lot of fun. Well, it did not happen at the beginning. My roommate in my dorm was a stoner who only wanted to get high all the time. He did not attend classes much and was pretty much a loser. He flunked out after the first semester, so I had the room to myself for the second semester of my freshman year. I hardly ever left it, other than to go to classes. I was just too shy to meet people. There was always something in the back of my mind that would cause me to become more reclusive when I would try to do something. Anyway, my life was quite boring until I met her. Jillian Montgomery changed my life in so many ways, and to think it was just dumb chance that we actually met at all. I happened to be sitting in a crowded cafeteria waiting until my next class. I was too far away from my dorm to make it back before my class, so I decided to brave it and sit there. I had my face in a book when she came up to my table. "Excuse me, but could I sit here?" a rather plain-looking girl asked me. She was tall, probably around 5 feet 10 inches, at least 3 inches taller than me. She wore no makeup and was dressed in plain jeans and a t-shirt. Her hair was short and light brown and not stylish at all. Rather frumpy. "Sorry?" I asked, not hearing her question since she said it rather softly. "Could I sit here?" "There are no other tables open," she asked again. "Of course," I said as I cleared some space for her. She sat down after thanking me and started eating. I went back to my book. After a few minutes of silence she said, "My name is Jill." "Jill Montgomery." "Oh, I'm Robert Williams." "Nice to meet you," I said and tried to go back to my book. Jill started talking, though. She told me where she was from and asked me the same. I told her. We started talking about ourselves and our families. Jill told me that she didn't know anyone here, and I told her the same was true for me. We talked about a lot of things, and I didn't realize that I had talked through my next class time. It was nice to finally have someone to talk to. We exchanged phone numbers and she asked me to call her later. I told her I would and she left for her next class. I went back to my room and thought about Jill. I was hoping that she wasn't interested in me as a boyfriend, because I was not attracted to her in that way. This is where I should digress for a moment. I am not attracted to women sexually. Don't get me wrong, I think women are beautiful, but I am just not interested in them sexually. I can't really say I'm interested in men sexually either. At least not yet in my story. I was very unsure of myself in many ways at this time. My mother always thought I was gay, she tells me now. She never approached me about it growing up, though. I wish she would have. It might have made some things easier on the both of us. Anyway, back to the story. I just wanted to be friends. I was hoping the same would be with her too. I called her later that day and we talked for hours. Jill asked me if I wanted to hang out tomorrow and I said yes. We decided to take a bus into town and go to a movie. Not that this is a date or anything, Jill said. Don't take this wrong, but I'm not. That's okay, I said with relief. I feel the same way. I tailed off and we both laughed. Phew. That was over. I was glad we both felt that way. I just wanted a friend and so did she. We agreed on a movie and a time and met the next day. That was the start of our friendship. We got to really know each other and we became inseparable. I finally felt like my life was starting to take shape. Before I knew it, it was the end of the semester and summer break was upon us. Jill and I agreed to talk as often as possible. We both went our separate ways and home for the summer. At first, we talked almost daily, giving each other updates on our summer jobs and making plans for our sophomore year. As the weeks went by, though, Jill became more distant. The calls were less frequent and after about a month, not at all. I tried to get in touch, but her parents told me not to call anymore, that Jill wasn't going back to school next semester and that she did not want to talk to me anymore. I was devastated. My only friend was now gone. I almost didn't go back to school, but as the time approached, I started to adjust and became my old, loner self. The fall semester of my sophomore year was really dull. I was still doing fine in my classes, but I became a recluse again. I had an apartment now off campus and spent my nights and weekends mostly online. World of Warcraft and Second Life were my only escapes. It was a Friday night in December. I stayed at my apartment for the holiday break, my mother traveling to some of our relatives for the holidays. I decided to stay in my mother and I shared a little Christmas holiday early, so she could go. I was just settling into some Warcraft when I got a text on my phone that just said, "Hey, what's up?" The number was unavailable. I answered, "You have the wrong number." A few minutes later another message. "No, I don't. It's Jill. Can we talk?" I was stunned. I had not heard from her for months. I answered, "Of course. How have you been?" The phone rang and I answered. "Jill?" I said. "Yeah, can I come over? I need to talk to you." She didn't quite sound like herself. Like she was trying to disguise her voice. "Yes. Do you know where I live?" "Yeah. I'll be over in a few." She hung up. Strange. What was going on? I straightened up the apartment and a few minutes later there was a knock. I opened the door. Jesus. She changed. If anything, she was even more manly. Her hair was a guy's buzz cut and she looked bigger. After the initial shock, I let her in and invited her to sit. "What's going on?" I asked with genuine concern. My only friend started to cry and I hugged her and let her cry. She cried for at least 10 minutes before composing herself. "I'm so sorry for what happened," she told me. Any hard feelings I might have had vanished after that. "It's okay, but tell me what happened," I asked. So Jill began. "I have to just tell you this. I hope you don't freak out about it like everyone else. I am a man trapped in a woman's body. I'm transgender." I sat back and absorbed that. Well, it explains the appearance. I didn't know what to say, really. Are you sure? Was all I could come up with. Lame. Yes, I'm positive. I have felt this way all my life. I tried to hide it and be normal, but I can't. I'm sorry. You have nothing to be sorry for, I said. If that is who you are, then that is who you are. Thank you, Jill said and started crying again. You are the first person who has felt that way. You are my friend and I will support you any way I can. Just because you are transgender doesn't take away what you are. Jill hugged me and we both cried. It was good to have my friend back. She then told me everything that had happened since summer. Jill told her parents and they erupted. They pulled her out of school and sent her to one of those gay camps that tried to cure her. It only enforced her. She ran away from that camp a few days ago. She took a bus on the little bit of money left she had and came out here. She contacted the student union and found out where I was and came right here. Your bags? I asked. It's out in the hallway, she answered. I went out and brought it in. You are staying here, I said. Jill tried to refuse, but I was having none of it. I had an extra bedroom anyhow, so it was no problem. Jill said she was going back to school this semester and would get a job to help out with rent. I told her rent was no problem, since I paid of the whole year anyhow. It was great having my friend back, even with the changes. Jill told me her parents want nothing to do with her anymore and that I was the only friend she had left. We talked through the night. I haven't been this happy in a while. I showed her around the apartment and to her room. We would get straightened out in the morning. I wished her good night and she said, one last thing. I go by Jeff now. Jeff Montgomery. Cool, Jeff, I said. See you in the morning. See ya, Jeff said and went to bed. As I laid in bed thinking of everything that happened tonight, I wondered to myself why I wasn't more upset about what Jeff, had done. A guy now? It just really did not bother me, for some reason. I fell asleep. Over the next semester life became good. I had a best friend again and a good roommate. Jeff kept his word and helped around the apartment and paid me rent for staying here. Jeff started therapy for his condition. The therapy is free to students. Jeff started to lift weights and was becoming quite large. He never looked happier, and I was happy for him. We even met a couple living in an apartment on the same floor as us. Carrie and Alexis were lesbians but were really cool. We all hit it off and became great friends. Carrie was the butch one and she and Jeff became really close. Alexis was the more femme one and her and I became close. One day when Alexis was over, she told me something she never told me before. You know, before we got to know you two, we thought you were both a couple. Her meaning Jeff and I, what? I asked. We thought you were two gay guys. Really? I asked. Do I come off that way? A little, she answered. I don't mean to offend. I'm sorry I even brought it up. It was just that you or Jeff never had any girls over and... That's all right, I said. You know what, I want to tell you something. I have never brought this up to anyone before. I'm not sure what I am sexually. I am not into girls that way. I don't know why. I respect girls more than that. I am not into guys either, I think. Does this make any sense? Maybe. You know, you could use some therapy. I am a psych major and maybe I will talk to a teacher and see if there are any good therapists in that area. I'm not sure about all this, I said. Well, if you don't want to, Alexis answered. It's not that, it's just. I trailed off. You know what, go for it. Okay, I will, she answered. A couple of days later, Alexis told me to make an appointment with a Dr. Culver. He worked on campus, so it is free to students. I made the appointment. The therapy started off with Dr. Culver getting to know me and my history. I told her everything I could about myself. She asked me about my sex life and I told her I had none. Dr. Culver asked me if there was anything from my childhood that would have me acting this way, and I could not remember anything. I told her no, but something was not right about that. Every time I try to really remember my childhood, I get nervous, doctor. I don't know why, I told her. Over the next few sessions, she tried to help me remember, but I just could not. Dr. Culver said that some more drastic measures might need to happen. She asked me if I would be open to hypnotherapy. I told her I would and she set it up with a Dr. Anderson for next session. The next session came and I was put under by Dr. Anderson. Here is a transcript of the session. Dr. Where are we now, Robert? Me, I'm at home. Dr. Good. How old are you? Me, 7. Dr. Who is in the room with you? Me, just MOM and me. Dr. What is happening? Tell me. Me, MOM, can I ask you something? What would you have named me if I had been a girl? Dr. What did your MOM say? Me, why did I ask that? Dr. And? Me, I want to know. Dr. What did she say now? Me, Melissa. She would have named me Melissa after my Aunt Melissa. Dr. Okay, Robert. Take me somewhere else. How about a time when you were playing with friends? Me, I don't have any friends. Dr. Okay, what do you play when you play by yourself? Me, there is one thing, but Daddy doesn't want me to play it anymore. Dr. And what is that? Me, I like playing house. Dr. Really? Why would Daddy not like that? Me, the last time I played he yelled at me and told me to stop. Dr. Why? Me, I was wearing Mom's dress and shoes. Dr. Why were you doing that? Me, I always do that way playing house. Dr. Why? Me, I want to be a MOM when I grow up. Dr. Really? Why? Me, I just do. I want to be a pretty mommy and girl when I grow up. I should be a girl now. Dr. Why do you feel that? Me, I always wanted to be a girl. I am a girl, on the inside. Dr. How long have you felt that way? Me, all the time. I hate being a boy. Boys are yucky. Dr. Okay, take me to the last time you played house. Can you do that? Me, yes. Dr. What is happening? Me, I am cooking dinner for when my husband get home. I am wearing my best dress. I hope he likes it, Dad, I'm sorry. Dr. What's happening? Me, Dad just found me playing house. I'm sorry, Dad, I won't do it again. I start crying hysterically at this point. Dr. What is happening now? Me, Dad hit me. He told me to stop that or he would beat me to death. I really start crying and the doctor stops the session. After I watch the replay of it, I start crying all over again. All the old memories come flooding back to me. After I compose myself, I leave and go home. Jeff asks me what's wrong, and I tell him that some personal stuff came up in therapy and I need time to think about it. Jeff said he understood, and I went to my room to try to sleep. I couldn't. All I did was think about what had happened, all the memories. I came to realize that all those memories were true. I do remember wanting to be a girl. I remember all the dress-up sessions I had. Those were the only times I was happy when I was little. I remember a time when my family was traveling, and we stopped at a restaurant for dinner. The waitress asked my mom what she wanted, referring to me as a she. I smiled and gave my order, trying to sound like a girl. My dad exploded on me, and I stopped acting like that. All my happy memories as a child were of trying to be a girl. My God, no wonder. I went into the living room where Jeff was watching TV. You feel any better? Jeff asked, turning off the TV. Yeah, thanks, I said. Can I ask you something? Yeah. When did you know that you were a guy? Ever since I was little, Jeff answered. I would constantly refer to myself as a boy. I would dress in my dad's clothes and act like I was a businessman. I would try to play with the boys in the neighborhood. It was only my parents' constant yelling at me that forced me to stop being that way. I tried to change, but... Jeff trailed off. Goodness, sounds like me in reverse. I sat back and closed my eyes, coming to a realization. Why did you ask me about that? Jeff asked. Because I am transgender. I am a woman trapped in a man's body. After I said that, it felt like the weight of the world was lifted from my shoulders. I started to cry. Jeff came over and held me and let me cry. I cried for a long time. I then told Jeff everything that happened at my session. I told him all my childhood memories. I was emotionally drained by the time I finished. We sat there in silence for a long time. Your story sounds almost word for word like mine, only in reverse, Jeff said. Wow, this is something. It sure is, I answered. It explains why we hit it off so well. Two kindred spirits. Yeah, Jeff said. What's next, for you, I mean? I'm not sure. I guess talk to my therapist about it. Go from there. Do you want, like me? Do you want to go all the way with it? Jeff asked. Yeah, I do, I answered. I know this sounds kind of rash now, but it was the most clear thought I've ever had. I want to become a woman on the outside. Fully. I have to. Good for you, then, Jeff said and smiled. We both left for our rooms. By the way, I said from my bedroom doorway, call me Melissa from now on. Sure thing, Melissa, Jeff said, and we went to bed. I tried to sleep, but I could not. I thought about everything that had happened to me today. The hypnosis had released so many memories of my childhood that I had blocked out. Almost every memory I had now was me wanting to be a girl and trying to be one as often as I could. I dressed in my mom's clothes a lot. I was always in her room, pretending that I was a mom. Remembering all those memories gave me such joy. Then I remembered my dad beating me for dressing up. He did it on more than one occasion, but that last time, he beat me so much. I started to cry again. God, why did I have to repress those feelings? I could have begun this journey so much earlier. Well, I won't let those bad memories get me down now. I am finally going to be what I should have been from birth, a woman. I know I should think about this step more, but I have never felt more right about anything in my life. I really am a woman, trapped in this body. No more. I awoke and went to the kitchen to get some cereal. Jeff was already up and eating. "Good morning, Melissa," Jeff said to me. "Good morning," I said back and smiled, hearing him calling me Melissa. We ate in silence and then he asked me, "What are you going to do today?" "Therapy first. I have a follow-up day with Dr. Culver. We are going to discuss the next steps." "Good. I'm happy for you." "Thanks. I'm happy too." I really was for the first time in a long time. I got dressed and went to my appointment. Dr. Culver and I discussed the hypnosis session. I told her all that I had discussed with Jeff and my feelings on what I wanted. Dr. Culver asked me if I was sure this is what I really wanted. She told me about what the next steps in transition were. I would have to live my life full-time as a woman for at least 6 months and then I could begin hormone therapy. I told her I was ready to begin as soon as I could get some appropriate attire. Dr. Culver suggested I join a support group on campus. I told her I would. I set up my next appointment for 1 week. I went home and Jeff was not there. I decided to call my friend Alexis. I told her about what I had discussed and asked her if she could help me with my transition. She was more than willing and she suggested that we go shopping tomorrow, but first she had to go to her room. I waited and she came back with some bottles. Alexis told me to get in the shower. I did and she handed me the bottles and a device that looked like a razor but had no blade, just a flat end. The bottles were Veet. She told me how to apply it and I did to my chest. I waited and then used the spatula she gave me and removed it. The hair was gone. I used the one bottle on my chest, arms and legs. The second bottle was a special formula that I used closer to my private area and face. Thankfully, I don't have much facial hair to begin with, so the cream did its job better. I was nice and smooth all over and she gave me some moisturizer which I applied over my whole body. It smelled so nice after the smell of the chemicals. Alexis then said that I should take it easy for the rest of the day. As long as I didn't have any kind of reaction to the Veet, we would go shopping in the morning. Alexis and I hung out for the rest of the day, Jeff having called and said he was out with Carrie. We talked and watched TV. I finally went to bed early, feeling excited about what tomorrow was going to bring. The next morning Alexis and I went to the local mall. Now, as I said before, I am sufficiently well off, having had a father that was a successful lawyer would now pay off for me. He left me quite a large inheritance that was now available to me, being an adult now myself. Money would be no problem for me. I was ready to go hog wild. We walked into the mall and I started to get nervous and excited. I was finally going to look the part. I couldn't wait to get my clothes. Alexis, though, had another idea first. She sat me down on a bench and said, "Before we start, we should talk. Do you have any idea on what kind of clothing you want? You know it's not as simple as just picking out a dress or two. What is your style?" I hadn't actually thought of that. I sat in silence for a few minutes and told her honestly I don't know. What do I do now? Don't panic, girl. Let's just walk around. Look at the other women here and see what you like. Tell me what you think looks good and we will go from there. We walked around the mall and not only looked in the shop windows, but also the women walking around. I would tell her that something looks nice or that someone had a hideous blouse on. We walked around for an hour or so before we sat down again. Alexis and I came to the agreement that I liked more conservative clothing. Nice skirts and blouses, dresses, and the like. Nothing too flashy or trashy. More or less an average woman. I told her I just wanted to blend in, not stand out, but I still wanted to be feminine. Alexis then led me to Fredericks of Hollywood. She said we should start from the inside out. It was not overly crowded. We walked around for a minute or so before a saleswoman came up to us. She asked Alexis if she needed any assistance. I should have felt nervous about asking, but I didn't. I said, actually, I need the assistance. I don't know what my size is. Oh, the saleswoman said to me. I'm sorry. Well, let's go get you measured. She led me to the dressing area. She made sure no women were indecent and led me to a stall. She asked me to take my shirt off. I felt a little embarrassed, but the saleswoman made me feel at ease. You are not the first guy to come in here. We have a lot of male customers. I thanked her and removed my shirt. She put the tape measure around my chest in 2 different places, writing down the number. She then measured my waist and had me pull down my jeans enough that she could measure my hips. She told me I was a 38 bra size and a medium in panty size, having a 28-inch waist. The saleswoman led me out and to a display of silicone enhancers. She asked me if I wanted these and I said yes. I picked out the full breast enhancers in a C-cup size. We then went to where there were padded panties. I picked the 4-pad girdle panty in black and nude. Then the 3 of us started to shop. I ended up with 6 bras, 4 bikini cut panties, 2 hip hugger panties, 3 boy short panties and a thong. I also purchased 2 corsets, black and nude. I paid for it with my Visa and then we went to Macy's. At Macy's, we went to the women's section and started looking around. Alexis would pull something out and ask me if I liked it. We had quite a few pieces when a saleswoman came around to us. Would you like to try those on? She said to Alexis. Alexis smiled and said, that won't be necessary, but Melissa here would like to try them on. The saleswoman's eyes got really big and she excused herself. We both laughed and went back to looking at clothes. Another woman came up to us a few minutes later. I want to apologize for that. I'm Jennifer and I would be happy to assist you, she said to me. Thank you, I said back. I would like to try these on. Of course, Jennifer said and led Alexia and I to the dressing rooms. Jennifer took our Fredericks bags and Alexis and I went into the room. I was just about to try on a dress when Alexis said she would be right back. Alexis came back in with one of the Fredericks bags. I told Jennifer what we would need. She pulled out the nude padded girdle and had me put it on. Alexis turned her back and I slipped it on. It felt so nice to have some women's garments on finally. The panty/girdle was so soft and silky. I loved it. After I told her I had it on, she pulled out a white bra and had me put it on, telling me to put it on with the clasps in the front and then spin it around. Alexis adjusted the bra straps for me and then I put the silicone enhancers in. Looking in the mirror and seeing myself in a bra and panty put the most wonderful smile on my face. Alexis then took the nude corset and put it on me and tied it in the back, giving me a more hourglass shape. I then picked out a pink polo shirt dress and put it on. It was short-sleeved and hit just above my knees. I stood there looking at myself in the mirror. I was so happy that I started to cry with joy. I was wearing a dress in public. Alexis gave me a hug and told me to come out in the outer dressing room with the angled mirrors. I looked at myself from different angles, spinning this way and that. Jennifer came in. That looks really cute on you, she told me. Thanks for saying that, but... I started to answer. No, I really mean it. It fits you really well. I like the color on you. She sounded like she really meant it. Thanks, I said back. I will definitely take this one. I went back into my stall and tried on all the clothes we picked out. Some looked good and some didn't. I ended up with 3 dresses, 4 skirts, 6 blouses, 2 pairs of jeans and 3 shorts. I got dressed in my old clothes but left the undergarments on. I thanked Jennifer for her help. "You're most welcome," she answered. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure," I answered. "Are you just dressing for fun, or?" She trailed off. "I am transitioning from a man to a woman." "Really? That is so neat." "I don't mean that disrespectfully or anything." "No problem. I'm sure I'm going to hear much worse than that." "I am finally taking my mother's advice." "Really?" Jennifer asked. "Yes, she told me that I should always try to better myself. What could possibly be better than being a woman?" I told her. We all laughed and she gave me a high five. Alexis and I then went to the shoe department. We looked at many different shoes and a salesman came up to us. "Can I help you with anything?" he asked Alexis. I spoke up before she could answer. "I would like these in a size 11, I said, holding a pair of pink, sling-back wedges. He gave me a queer look and said he would be right back. We both giggled and sat down. He came back looking very uncomfortable, but being polite. He took the left shoe out and I stuck my foot out. He slipped it on my foot and then did the right one. I stood up and almost fell over. Alexis held me up and we walked around the floor. Some other women laughed at me as I was walking around, but I eventually got used to them a little. They were definitely cute. They are peep-toe with a cute rosette detail in the front. I bought them along with 7 other pairs of shoes. After we left the shoe department, we went back to the women's department and found Jennifer. Alexis asked if I could use a dressing room again and Jennifer took us back. "It's time for Melissa to shine, girl. Get undressed." I was starting to feel nervous as I took off my old clothes. Alexis handed me the pink dress that I wore before and I slipped it on. She then handed me a pair of pink sandal flats that I just purchased. I slipped those on. I stood there nervously. "Let's go, Melissa. We have plenty of shops to hit yet," Alexis said as she took my hand and led me out of the dressing room. I had to look foolish. My hair was long, but it wasn't styled like a girl. I had no makeup on and I looked like a boy in a dress, even with the curves. I was walking slowly as we headed out. Jennifer said she liked the shoes and I thanked her. I felt like everyone was staring at me. I looked around nervously. Most of the other people paid no attention to me. I started to feel a little better. "Follow me," Alexis told me as we walked to the back of the Macy's and we walked into the salon section. "Do you trust me?" "Yes," I answered, and Alexis went to talk with a woman behind the counter. A few minutes later the woman called for me. "Your friend has made an appointment for you to get your hair done." "Do you really want what she asked?" the woman asked me. "Yes, I do," I answered. "Okay. Please follow me." She led me back to a chair. "Beth will be with you shortly." I sat down and waited. Another woman sitting next to me gave me a disgusted look and turned away. I sat there feeling ashamed. What had I gotten myself into? Did I really want this? I was going to run away when Beth came in. She was a pretty woman in her mid-20s. She instantly made me feel at ease. "You must be Melissa. Nice to meet you." We shook hands. "Nice to meet you too," I said meekly. "So, what do you want to do with your hair?" She took my hair and held it out. "You have nice hair. We can do a lot of different things." "What were you thinking?" "I'm not sure." "What would you do with it?" I asked her. Let me look." Beth looked at my hair and my face. "Well, do you trust me?" "That's the second person to ask me that," I said with some sarcasm. "Sure. Do what you think is best." "I think you will like it," Beth said and tilted the chair back and washed my hair. She then trimmed up the ends and she started cutting the sides. "I'm going to give you a layered cut. It is very versatile, so you can give it different looks by doing different things with it. I will show you how to style it differently." She continued to cut for a while, then she brought out some different bottles. "Now I'm going to give you some lighter highlights." She then set my hair up for putting highlights and applied the color. While the color was setting, we chatted. I told her my story briefly and she did not seem to mind that I was a guy. She treated me like she would have any customer. I felt much better about everything. When it was done, she then started to style it. She talked me through what she was doing step by step. She even told me about other things I could do with my hair. After a lot of blow drying, she put wax on the ends and showed me how to do it. Then, she applied some smoothing shine to my hair and then gave it a quick once-over with a hairdryer. She then turned my chair so I could look at the finished results. "Wow!" I yelled out with glee. It was so cute! It was parted on the side with cute layers. It was wavy on the ends and the color was gorgeous. I loved the highlights. It was a very feminine style. I told Beth how much I loved it. She was grateful and showed me the products I would need to keep it up. I bought them all and gave Beth a very large tip. One last thing she did was wax my eyebrows, giving me an arch that was not too thin. I loved it. I went out and showed Alexis my hair. She loved it and told me it looked great. We then went to the MAC counter. I asked the woman behind the counter if I could get a makeover and she said yes, as long as I bought the items I used. I bought everything I would need. Lipsticks, blushes, foundations, eyeliner, mascara, and a lot more. The woman applied everything. I felt glamorous sitting there getting makeup applied. When she was done, she showed me the results. I wanted to faint with delight. I looked almost passable. Alexis said I was passable. The smile I had was huge. I felt so good at that moment. I went to a full-length mirror to take it all in. I was passable. I never felt more happy and confident than at that moment. Alexis and I finished in Macy's by going to the handbags. I bought 2. One gorgeous Calvin Klein beige hobo and one black Michael Kors clutch. I slung the hobo over my shoulder and we left Macy's. We ended up hitting other stores and my wardrobe became quite extensive. I felt giddy with delight. No wonder women liked shopping so much. What an incredible rush to buy cute clothes for yourself. We then went to a nail salon run by a family of Korean women. I had a manicure and a pedicure done. I had false nails applied and then had the pink and white full treatment done to my hands. My nails looked so good. My feet got the princess pedicure and my toenails were done in Italian Love Affair pink by OPI. I just love that color. I bought a bottle to take home. It was early evening by the time we left the mall. Alexis suggested we go to Olive Garden for dinner. We went and were served by a very handsome waiter, who had eyes for Alexis. Too bad for him that she is a lesbian. Anyway, We had a lovely dinner and then went back to my place. Jeff was home and Carrie was over too. Alexis told both of them to close their eyes before I came in. I walked in and they opened their eyes. "Wow, Melissa. You look great," Carrie said. "Too bad I'm already attached," she said as she gave me a once-over. Alexis playfully slapped Carrie. "You look great, Melissa," Jeff said. It made me feel really good to hear Jeff say that. "Thanks," I said to Jeff, then turned to Carrie. "Thanks to you both. I know I still am rough around the edges, but I hope to remedy that soon. Honestly, girl. You look great," Carrie said. "Other than your voice, you could pass," I thanked her again. "You need help with your walk too," Alexis said. "But that's why I'm here, girl. I'll teach you to shake your tang." I had to laugh at that. Jeff was strangely quiet, but smiled at me a lot. After we all had a few drinks, Alexis and Carrie left for the evening. I went to my room and got undressed and put on a nightie I just bought. It felt so good to wear clothing that I really liked. I felt normal for the first time. I went back to the living room and Jeff was watching TV. I had a nighttime exfoliating mask on after I took off my makeup. "So tell me, Jeff, what do you really think?" I asked him. "You were awfully quiet there. Do I freak you out now?" "No. It's just that, I don't know. It's hard to imagine you as a girl now. I guess it will just take me some time. I know that sounds horrible, but it's how I feel." "That's okay," I answered. "I understand. It was hard to imagine you the same way at first for me." "Really, cool." I hoped that I didn't sound too hypocritical. "Nope. It's cool with me." "Now what are you watching?" I said, and we changed the subject. The next few days found Alexis hanging out with me and teaching me how to be more feminine. I got a crash course in walking and talking more like a woman. The heels were easy. It only took me a few days to really get used to them. I can see why women love them so much. They make your legs look great, and they are just so cute. I definitely need more. The talking was not going so well. I looked on the internet and found many YouTube videos on the subject, but none really helped. Alexis was at a loss and I was out of hope when my therapist suggested something. There were speech therapists that could help. I would have to pay for it out of pocket, but if I wanted to sound like a woman, I had to do it. My therapist found one and I called and set up an interview. I got home and told Jeff and he was happy that I found someone to help me. I was just going to tell Alexis when my cell rang. It was my mother. I hadn't talked to her for a while, really since I started my transition. It was not unusual for us not to talk. She was busy with work and all. "Anyway," I answered. "Hi, Mom," I said. "Hello, Robert. How are you doing?" she said, and we went into normal talk, catching up on what we were doing. It was a few minutes into talking when she said, "Well, who is she?" "Who?" I answered. "The girl you bought all that stuff for. Your visa bill came and you charged quite a bit. Over 1,000? Who is she?" My mom sounded mad. "It is my money, Mom. I can spend it however I want." "I know, but that much? She must be pretty special to you." "Who is she?" "Her name is Melissa," I told her coyly. I just had to tell her, though. "Listen, Mom, I need to tell you something. Maybe you should sit down. What is this about? Did you get her pregnant or something? No, nothing like that, I answered and took a deep breath. Melissa is me, Mom. What? I'm Melissa. All that stuff I bought is mine. I am transgender, Mom. I am going to become a woman, there I said it. I was relieved and nervous all at once. There was a long silence on the other end. Are you still there, Mom? What did you just tell me? She answered shocked. Mom, I'm a transgender woman. Are you serious? Yes, Mom. I'm very serious. I am in therapy over it. That is why I am in therapy. I didn't know how to tell you before, but now I did. I'm sorry, Mom. I can't help it. This is who I am. I started to cry. Robert, are you sure this is what you are? Maybe this is some phase, or something. Maybe it's that Jeff rubbing off on you. She sounded angry. Jeff has nothing to do with it, Mom. Leave him out of it. This is about me. I am a woman, Mom. I always have been. Nothing is going to change that now. I'm transitioning. Listen, Robert. I am coming out there tomorrow to see you. We will talk about it when I get there. I have to go now. She hung up. I started crying hard then. Jeff came into my room and I told him what had happened. He gave me a hug and encouragement. He told me he would go stay at Carrie and Alexis' apartment while my mother was in town. That was a good idea. I went to bed depressed and hurt. I was also nervous and mad too.